You ain't nothing but a cheap copy. This copy's gonna kick your butt.
Garbage.
After how much I watched Ice Age Collision Course back in 2016, this is going to be a big one when The Adventures of Buck Wild comes out, and oh man, it's going to be a big, big sellout. Let the intro command. Hello everyone, it's me, LBT Electric Dino 75 once again, and oh boy, this is going to be a really, really tricky one in my opinion, and I hope you're all doing good, and after how much I badmouthed Jurassic World Dominion, this is going to be the biggest, craziest event ever in 2023 with my review of The Adventures of Buck Wild. Ice Age The Adventures of Buck Wild is the sixth film in the Ice Age franchise, and it tells a story about two possums named Crush and Eddie going to this underground dino world, meeting Buck, and then suddenly this anthropomorphized protoceratops named Orson has a bunch of raptors taking over the dino world, and now it's up to Buck to stop Orson along with his raptors along the way. So that's basically a story in this movie in a nutshell, and
Rip-off! This is a rip-off! This is a rip-off! Are you kidding?
what can I say about the story? The story is pretty bland in my opinion, and the story in this feels like a rehash of the previous Ice Age movies individual, like Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. The story is very, very predictable, and instead of doing something new with it, they decided to recycle ideas and make it more predictable. And the story, it just didn't work for me, and I didn't like the story. It's just bland and boring in my opinion, and it needs a lot more going on. Aside from the story that is not that good, and the CGI in this, and let me just say, I hated the CGI in this movie. The CGI looks awful in my opinion. Compared the CGI to the previous Ice Age movies, like the first Ice Age movie, Ice Age 2, Ice Age 3, Ice Age 4 and 5, their CGI looks way better and looks more real and looks more Pixar related from Blue Sky. And yeah, the CGI looks somewhat lifeful, and you can get attached to these characters in CGI. But the CGI in Adventures of Buck Wild, it just looks awful in my opinion, and looks ugly and looks cheap looking. Especially how the characters move and the way that they do all that articulating stuff, and the CGI looks awful. But I'll give credit to some CGI. At least they got the detail right, and at least they got the skin texture and the fur textures, especially with these mammals and dinosaurs. Is there anything else to say about the CGI? That's the end of the good. But other than that, this CGI needs serious improving, and it needs to get executed.
I don't like the look of this.
And now we get to the characters themselves. After how much I covered up the story that is bland, CGI that is ugly, and now for the characters, and I really dislike the characters in this movie. I mean, they're not only poorly rendered characters, but the characters are very, very forgettable in my opinion. Instead of making Buck as the main character, the movie mainly focuses on Crash and Eddie as the main characters themselves. Like, who asked for them to be the main characters? Like, I mean, they're already side characters in the second movie and third movie as likable cuties, but here, they're not even that good of main characters to begin with. They should have been at least side characters and all that stuff. And finally, let's get to the character that we all been waiting for, Buck Wild, who is a weasel taking control of Dino World, tries to be more serious about Orson, and he's not that good of a character. I can't believe they ruined Buck. After how much he was funny in both Ice Age 3 and Ice Age Collision Course, Buck, in my opinion, is one of the most funniest and hilarious characters in the franchise. But here, I mean, his comedy has been sucking down a lot. And then we got Z, Buck's sidekick, and I just find her kind of pointless in my opinion. And then we get to the dinosaur, Orson, who is an anthropomorphized Protoceratops who has raptors to take over Dino World and wants to have everything for himself. But honestly, I think Orson, in my opinion, was alright. He's not the best villains and he's not the worst I've ever seen, but he's just kind of boring in my opinion. He doesn't have that much to do except for being this generic, typically Disney animated villain trope, which, yeah, Orson, he's alright, but he's just kind of boring in my opinion. I know you're setting up an herbivore dinosaur in a Ice Age movie is a smart idea, but the way that they did it here is just poor and it's not executed properly. I mean, they should have given him something else to do and all that stuff. I mean, he has a cool design, but he's just kind of boring in my opinion. And aside from the characters that I mentioned, let's talk about Manny, Sid, Diego, and Elliot, which, yeah, I mean, they only appear like in the beginning and through the third act, and they barely played any role in this. It's most likely Crash and Eddie and Buck throughout the whole film. And not even the dinosaur characters show up in the previous Ice Age movies. Not even the Dino Birds, not even Mama Dino, and the most offensive of all, there's no Rudy. No! Yeah, I said it. I mean, Rudy is one of the most powerful dino villains in Ice Age 3. You should have at least got him back. But here, he's nowhere to be found here. And there's no explanation for that. Same thing goes for Scrat, where he is the funniest character throughout the Ice Age media. But here, he's completely absent. And Mama Dino, which is one of my favorite characters in the Ice Age franchise, she barely played a large role in this, only in the third act and all that stuff. I mean, she barely got any screen time. What is this? Is this Jurassic World Dominion all over again? So the characters here, it's good that they brought the Ice Age characters back, but they're not executed properly, and after how much I watched the previous Ice Age franchise, Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild was a frustrating disappointment. This movie was very frustrating as hell. It's good that they brought back the Ice Age franchise altogether, but this one had serious potential in it. It has a bland story that doesn't even work. The animation looks cheap and awful. The characters are just one-dimensional and very forgettable, and not even the dinosaur characters could save off that movie. But I gotta be real here. I would rather watch Walking with Dinosaurs, the 2013 movie, than The Adventures of Buck Wild. As annoying as the voiceovers are in Walking with Dinosaurs, it felt more like a dinosaur movie than both Jurassic World Dominion and The Adventures of Buck Wild. But I still like the character designs and the animation and the storytelling, but I gotta be real here. I would rather watch Walking with Dinosaurs than The Adventures of Buck Wild and Jurassic World Dominion, because it felt like a dinosaur movie, unlike those two. But while The Adventures of Buck Wild tried its best, it failed miserably. So that's why I'm giving Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild a 4 out of 10 and a D. This was a major disappointment and not the worst I've ever seen, but good God, this was a big disappointment. And that's why I'm giving this the LBT seal of bullcrap. And oh my lord, I need a break from this. So that's my review analysis on Ice Age: The Adventures of Buck Wild, and man, this movie was very frustrating and a major disappointment. And yeah, I don't want to talk about it. And I hope you guys enjoy my review analysis of Adventures of Buck Wild. And this is my first analysis rant on 2023. And if you want to see my review analysis on Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, go to my channel and see the video, or I'll put a link so that way you can see my review of Puss in Boots 2. And which that'll be another time. So I really hope you guys enjoy, and please sure like and subscribe, and I'll be able to make more videos in the near future, as well as live streams, tier list rankings, and not to mention those other things going on. And not to mention that second trailer to 65 came out, which I heard that's kind of but I like the first trailer better. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll probably do a trailer reaction to 65 part 2 with the trailer and see how that goes. But anyways, LBT here. See you guys later. And I'm getting tired, so I need a rest.